A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. All right, let's do some intentions. I will read them. And again, thank you for leaving a voicemail. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 646-363-6294. Or you can email oversharing@betches.com. if you want to prefer email method. Okay, let's do some tensions. My daughter is nearly 3.5 years old, bright, verbal, and developing beautifully. She's the kind of kid who can explain what her body is telling her and remembers everything you say. She doesn't have any other delays or notable behavior issues. We've been working on potty training for about a year. She's completely capable of peeing and pooping on the potty. She's done both many times, but she struggles with withholding. After a clean out about 3 weeks ago, her constipation is resolved, but emotionally, she still can't seem to let go. Sometimes she will try willingly but can't release. Other times she refuses to sit or even withholds pee until she can't anymore. Then she ends up with accidents or waits for her nighttime pull-up. What makes it so hard is that she wants to be potty trained. She doesn't want to wear pull-ups during the day, and she feels embarrassed when she has an accident, even though we've been completely calm and supportive about it. She's also immune to all the typical hacks, sticker charts, bribes, blowing bubbles, relaxation tricks. Nothing seems to override the anxiety her body has built around the potty. It's especially tough because she's one of the last kids at her preschool who isn't fully potty trained. Everyone tells me she'll do it when she's ready, but that advice feels impossible to hear after a full year of effort. I know she can do it, she just won't. It's exhausting to stay calm and encouraging while also cleaning up accidents and watching her body fight its own urge. I'd love some advice about how to set an intention to stay patient through this process and how to not feel like I've somehow failed as a parent because my child isn't there yet. Thanks so much for the help. Sounds like her daughter needs an intention too. Sounds like it's a mental game.
You know what? You don't realize it with potty training. It's this whole power struggle, and you know that the people around you have. It's interesting. Think coming from the first email, like kids absorbing the reactions of everyone around them, and like how excited they get when you go on the potty, and like maybe just disappointed when you don't, or like everyone's all involved in this thing. Right. All the people around you are all involved in this thing that's like very personal, and your body. So it can get
a lot of pressure.
It can get really intense, and they've been doing it for a long time. So, this has been probably, you go to the bathroom multiple times a day for a year. So this has been like a big thing for the daughter and for the parents. So I could see why the mom's getting frustrated. The daughter's sounds like overwhelmed with the whole thing. And yeah, I don't think I think your doctor is the best person to probably help you. I'm not an expert in this, but I do think maybe just like taking a little break from the whole thing might be helpful, to just kind of like react less, like don't make a big deal about it. If she goes if she wants to hold it and go in the nighttime, like maybe give her a week of just like, do whatever
works for you. Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do. We're not going to make comments about it anymore. We're not going to get involved in it anymore. More so as just an exercise in everybody just kind of letting go a little bit. No pun intended. That's part of like,
right.
Yeah. I think even if this isn't a method to get her trained, it's just an exercise, and I'm going to release my need to control this situation as a parent, which I totally get why she wants to go there. And this is my biggest, having been a mom for 13 years, my biggest takeaway is like everything in the moment feels like a big deal. Like these little moments of like, my child's not potty trained, my child's not developing in this way, my child bit someone at school, or my child had a tantrum, or they won't eat these foods, or they'll only eat those foods. Like it just, I think we tend to get all twisted up about it, and then really lean in with like maybe even some subtle or subconscious pressure that then the kids feel. And this is, I only know this because I lived it. I still live it to this day. But the biggest takeaway is like, this will pass. Like, this is just a moment. It doesn't reflect. And the only way to get to that point of this will pass is to take away that meaning, like that this is a reflection on your parenting. It's
right.
Not. It's just a moment.
And that would give her permission to do the like, all right, we're just going to go back to diapers for the week.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Do whatever you want, you want to do. You want to, you want to save it for the nighttime. You want to go in the diaper. Let's just take a little break, because I think it might be a lot of pressure. And this is the other trick that I do a lot with general life things, but parenting things, especially like when I feel like there's something really intense happening in the moment, like one of my kids is really upset, or they feel like they're not fitting in, like with like this is like a timeline thing. It sounds like,
right.
Speaking of timelines, like you're like, oh, I'm 36 and I should be pregnant. And she's like, oh, my child's, 3.5 and they should be potty trained.
Right.
Like
and all the other kids in the class are potty trained already.
Yeah.
Right.
We're like comparing ourselves to everybody else. Sometimes what I like to do is like imagine myself, it's a little morbid, but like I do it. Like at the end of my life, I'm like 99 years old and I'm laying in bed and it's going to be like my last moments and I'm looking back on my life. Like, or even as a ghost, I'm like floating into this room
okay.
with me and this child that's having this issue, whatever it is. And I'm just watching it like as if it's, 80 years from now. It's just a moment. It's just like a parenting moment. And there's going to be thousands of them. Instead of in the moment, you're so into this tunnel vision of like, this is determining the value of myself and my child
right.
and their path in the world. And then you step back and you're like, I was in that house. Look at how little she was. Look at how young I was. I was just being a mom. We were both doing the best we could.
Right. Like the zoom out thing.
Zoom out and just realize like she's not going to go in the diaper forever. She's eventually going to get potty trained. I know it's hard when you're in it, but I do think with these parenting things, it's very, especially for moms a lot. And I think this is why this affects, I'll call it moms or like the primary parent. It affects them a lot more because their identity is very wrapped up in being a good parent. So a lot of this, I think, comes down to that fear of like, I'm not doing something right. Why is my kid the one that's not potty trained?
It's more of their identity.
Yeah.
Often. Yeah.
Yes. So I think if you can recognize when that's happening, and I was going to say about this meditation that I'm doing in my groups that I think is really helpful. It's not mine. It's from Tara Brach. She's my guru, my teacher. Like I go to her for a lot. She does this meditation called the RAIN meditation. So it's RAIN. It's 4 steps. Recognize.
Okay.
So you recognize like something feels big here, right? Like she just pooped in her diaper or she's, whatever. I could tell she's uncomfortable. She's holding her poop in or whatever. Like something more than that is stirring up. So I recognize it. I allow it. Okay, come on in. Whatever you are, emotion, come in. Let me feel whatever this is. I'm not going to push it away. Yeah. And then where you're moving is like which is investigate. Yeah. What is this? Yeah. Fear. What is like the allow is just like soften your shoulders, relax your face, like let this emotion be. And then the I is like, what? A little bit of what is this? A little bit of like, I have this, I'm not a good mom. I have this thought I'm not a good mom, or I'm afraid she'll never get potty trained. A little bit of that. And a lot of it is just like literally looking for the emotion in your body. My shoulders are tight. I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm tight in my chest and just like noticing what this feels like. And this is a crash course in it. Probably not perfect. And the last one, N, is nurture. And that's where you give yourself that intention. And you kind of put your hands on your heart and you say, I am a good mom. I'm doing the best that I can.
Right.
And just tell yourself something that's like nurturing to yourself. And you can do this for anything.
I like that. Yeah. And my therapist kind of, I think like she didn't call it this, but I think she's done this. And something she's used for N was kind of like What would you tell a friend
Yes.
who told you they were having this issue is sort of like the end? Like you wouldn't be like, yeah, she's never going to get potty trained. Like this is going to be your whole life forever.
Yeah,
no,
and it's
you'd be
because
like,
you did this and it's because you messed her up in this way. And
right.
Right.
That's not someone who cared about you would tell it. So it's like, what would someone nurturing you say?
Yes.
They would say you're like exactly what you just said. Like you're a
Yes.
good mom. It's going to happen eventually. Like,
Yes.
whatever the
Yes.
messaging that would make you feel better would be.
Totally. And this is a good way to just kind of do that for yourself. It's like a little mini therapy session. If you drag that whole process out over 20 minutes, which is what we're doing in the group, and then we're talking about what we're, figuring out about ourselves there and what our themes are there. But you can do this for yourself as like, why is this tweaking? Like this apology thing, if that's something that was bothering you, like you can do this for that. Like, why is this bothering me? Like, what is it really that I'm worried about here? And how can I just nurture myself and say, okay, you did the best. You sent the text, you called, you did the best you could. You're a good friend. Whatever it is that you need to hear. But I think for her, I mean, there's that. And then the intention that I wrote is this is not a reflection of my parenting. It's just a moment in time. I use that all the time. Like when my kids are bickering and they're being mean to each other, or when they don't seem like the school calls because they forgot something at school for the 5th time. And I start to think, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? And maybe I need to get a chart with a board and I need to make sure that they remember and they're not going to be organized. And how are they going to? Shh. This is not a reflection of my parenting. It's a moment in time. And then you can kind of, when you're a little bit calmer about it, I think they then get calmer about it. And with time, most of these things work themselves through. Call us back when she's 7 if this doesn't work.
And let us know if you try the RAIN method, how it works out for you, if you like it, what issues you had when trying it. Let's hear it.
Yes, would love to hear. If anyone out there tries this, would love to hear how you like it. There's you can find a lot of media on this. If you type in RAIN meditation, Tara Brach, who created it. And it is basically, I mean, I love her. It's a great meditation, but it is kind of what you do in therapy, right? You recognize what's bothering you. You sit with someone who allows those feelings to exist. You explore, what is this really? And how do I feel my feelings in my body? And then you're kind to yourself and you nurture yourself.
Right. This does sound like what you were saying about going back years from this podcast is like feeling your feelings. This sounds like what that sort of looks like in a healthy way.
Yeah. And it's like, if you find a meditation, like a recorded version of this, it's like walks you through like a quick little therapy session. If you don't have your therapist or you're not in therapy, it's like a quick version of this. I like the longer ones, like 20-ish minutes, but anything helps.
All right, let's do some triggers.
All right.
We got a Halloween one, which I love. You want to read our first one?
Yes. This is a good one. Okay. Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. I'm a huge fan of the podcast and love your insights. I'm a day one listener and I look forward to this podcast every week. Thank you. On to the triggered. I just moved into a new neighborhood, and while my husband was out for a jog, he stumbled upon these Halloween decorations. See attached picture. Should we talk about the picture?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the picture is like 4 makeshift hanging. It looks like a hanging family. Yeah.
It's like 2 kids and 2 adults.
Right. Who are being hung. Like
from the garage.
Yes.
From the gutter above the garage.
From the gallows of the garage. So it's definitely, I mean, they're not like, there's no like faces on them. They're covered with like a cloth, the faces, but they're like dressed as like parents and children, and they are definitely hanging.
Right.
From the, it definitely looks like the gallows of someone, of a family hanging. Yes.
Okay. So that's the picture. It's, we'll talk more about the severity of it. Okay. But yeah, there's no blood. There's no it's just, but I think the most triggering part is that it's like 2 kids.
Yeah.
And then 2 adults. It's like there's like small dead children hanging from your garage.
Right. And it's not like super graphic. There's no like facial expression, but like it's a little disturbing. I'll give it that. Okay.
Okay. After consulting with the group chat, we all agreed these decorations were pretty disturbing and wildly inappropriate considering we have an elementary and middle school inside our neighborhood. The middle school kids probably love it.
Yeah.
All four are haunted houses and make-believe creatures, but this just seemed too real and I didn't appreciate it. It was all out in the open for everyone walking by to see. At least with haunted houses, you have the option to go in, and sometimes there are even age restrictions. After getting worked up all over again from telling my friends, I reported the Halloween decorations to my HOA. The HOA responded with this. Good afternoon. At this time, there are no established guidelines for holiday decorations regarding what may and may not be displayed. However, I've attached a violation complaint form that you may complete and submit. This will allow the committee and or the board to review your concerns and determine whether guidelines should be created for future use. A few days later, before filling out the form, I got another email from the HOA with the winners of the Halloween decorating contest. I quickly went to check if the house in question made the list. Sure enough, it was under the category most terrifying, with an asterisk saying they were the winners last year and it was just posted here for viewing purposes. After the dust had settled, my triggered went from a 5 to a 2, mostly because it's easy for me to avoid this part of the neighborhood entirely, and my son is still a baby, and now I know which house to avoid for the future, LOL. But if I did live on this block, I think my triggered would be a lot higher. So am I being the Karen like my husband tells me, or were my actions justified? Should I still fill out this form? My husband told me not to fill out the form since he thinks it could stir up drama or create retaliation. What would you guys have done, if anything? Quick note, there were other decorations to the right of the house with other morbid/dead bodies, like one body hanging upside down over a fire. But this section was the most triggering to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
This is funny. This is a good one. This is almost like a good ethical dilemma. I'm like, it is Halloween.
Right.
I see both sides of it. I see like, all right, we're getting into it. Like we're going there. And I mean, yeah, it's a little intense, I would say, the idea of it. Like, I don't know where's the line?
Yeah.
If you had like a mutilated body, like a
right.
makeshift mutilated body, would that be okay? Like,
what? I would not want to be the HOA making up the, guidelines on what is or is not okay for Halloween decorations. I mean, I guess I could say maybe like dead children could be like a line.
No dead children.
Like, yes. Has to be like dead humans over the age of like 18. Maybe we could say that. But like there are people that put up, like I still remember taking the girls when they were little, we walked up to this house and they were like, too creepy. Oh. And they like ran back out. And so we left. But that was like on actual Halloween. That wasn't like in the neighborhood before. But look, if this was my next door neighbor, maybe I would feel differently because you have to like look at it every day.
Yeah.
And your kids are going to eventually see it and potentially be disturbed by it. But like, if you have to walk around to go to this house to see these, I don't think it's that triggering. Like, just don't go there. And your kids are not going to see it. And honestly, it was up against the garage. It was like down the driveway against the garage. So it wasn't like this was right at the edge of the street. Like, I don't think most kids might even really know what that is or look for it. It wasn't like a flashy, scary thing that was like right at the edge. Yeah.
Right. It's hard to know where the line is.
Yep.
Even like, I mean, the line could be a lot less for some people and other people might think it would be totally innocent. Like I've walked past houses that have like whole graveyards in their front yard.
Right, I'm looking right now across the street. They have like
a full
super
graveyard.
Creepy, like, full graveyard with like
some scary pumpkin carvings. Like, I do think the line is like a little blurry over like what's disturbing to someone. It might not be disturbing to someone else. And some people like love it. Some people are like, yeah, this is really getting me in the mode. Like I love this stuff. And it is their personal house. So I think like that kind of stuff in a public venue would be a lot. But I guess it's like, it's your house. Yeah, if it was again, but I agree. I think I'd feel a little different if it was my neighbor and I had to look at it all month, not just on Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween itself is just such a, I mean, I love it. It's fun. Like it's one of my favorites, but it's so weird. Like if I was an alien and I was like, what is this thing that they do where they just celebrate death and creepy, scary things. And like, it's really pretty weird. Like, oh, another, we love Six Flags. Like me and the kids go there all the time. By the way, I saw an article that said that Travis Kelce is like spending a bunch of his money to like help Six Flags survive. They're like about to go out of business. And allegedly Travis Kelce is
interesting
saving
cause
them.
To take
so another reason why Brooks is a big Chiefs fan. So another reason why we love Travis Kelce in this house. He's saving Six Flags.
Wow. True hero.
But we went there the other day. And the kids are a little older. I'm like, maybe we'll go at night. This was in September. It wasn't even October yet. And they have like a
Fright
super
Fest
creepy, Fright Fest thing, which I just thought was like creepy decorations. But what it actually is like people dressed up really, really well. Like the makeup is insane. These people look like zombies or whatever, like creepy characters. And they walk around like in this creepy zombie thing. And then when the kids would walk by, they actually would like chase them. Like not only jump, but like chase them up the street. So Brooks was freaking out. Like, he's only 7 and they're like running after him. And I started like, I was like the Karen. I was like, leave him alone. That's enough. Like, I started freaking out too, because it was, and scary, when they felt like they were scared, he was kind of like, they would like come in close and like whisper and like make comments in their ear, like all the kids, like, where are you running to? Like, just like it was creepy.
Right. But there's probably people who like love that. They're like,
I didn't know. But so I ended up like, because we wanted to still go on the rides. I just didn't want to be harassed by these zombies. So I'm like walking through the park, like with my hands over his eyes and like his sister's hands over his ears, because they're like talking to you. But he's fine. Like he's not traumatized. Like he made it through. We're all okay. But yeah, Halloween's weird and creepy and people get super into it. If this was the neighbor, I would give this like a 6, but because it's not, you have to go over there to see it.
And her kid, like she said, her kid is like too young to even know what's going on there.
Yeah. So because of that, I'll give it a 2.
I'd give it like a 2, 3 because it's so far away.
Yeah. But I could see if I had a creepy thing right next door to my house and my kids were like afraid to go outside or like fearful, it was creating like difficulty in our daily activities, then I would give it a higher score. This is I think it's disturbing to her. It's almost like a Handmaid's Tale kind of.
Yeah, it does have Handmaid's Tale vibes, like a little dystopian or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I feel like the HOA letter is a little aggressive, like her husband said. Like if it was my next door neighbor or someone on my block, I might just go tell them. Like I might just go like say it to their face. Like I love the decorations personally. My kids are freaking out. Like I don't really know what to do. Like, can we come to a solution here?
Right. But I think if your kids are actually freaking out, which in this case they're not.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if the scenario was like, I have kids who were like of age where they know what they're seeing and they are freaking out and I live close to it, then I think my first line would be to speak to my neighbor directly.
Right.
And if they were like dismissive or didn't care, I might take it up with the HOA. But I think for a person who lives like several blocks away that doesn't see it, that hasn't said anything, I think it's a little Karen-y for that to be like your first order of aggression.
But how funny though that she complains and then they win an award.
Yeah,
so obviously if they're doing a contest around this,
neighborhood loves it.
Like you're in the unfortunately.
Yeah. Why would they ever think that anyone didn't let, they're getting like all this positive reinforcement for,
they're winning
They're
contests.
winning contests. Yes.
But I can see why that's triggering to see that after you complain, like they got an award.
Yeah, no wonder they were like, yeah, we have no guidelines because she didn't write this in the HOA because we love it.
Right.
That's funny.
Halloween's so weird.
Well, now she just moved to the neighborhood. She's getting to know it. This is where you moved.
Yeah. And look, it's going to be part of your children's upbringing. Maybe they'll, I do think that sometimes that stuff can make them stronger. And eventually, like the same girls that are like, too creepy. Now they're like, Lila's dressing up as like the it clown. And,
Right. And I see that with little kids around, like my dog, where it's like some people sometimes like Ronnie will like jump on little kids that come over,
right.
or he's like excited and he's like jumping around and they're like terrified. But then other kids who are around big dogs a lot, like are kind of into it or they're unfazed. And so it's a little, in some ways, good for
like desensitizing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yep. That might be the path you have to go in this neighborhood if they're giving out awards for like, what was the award they won?
Oh,
most frightening.
Most terrifying?
Most terrifying. Right. If you're giving that out, you're probably swimming against the tide here.
The neighborhood encourages this. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Good luck. Let's do another one. All right. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I'm a huge fan of your podcast as well as a longtime listener of You Up since way back in 2017. I want to say I'm excited to be writing in, but wish it wasn't because I'm triggered. Here's the situation. I got engaged to my now husband in June 2024, and we were married last month in September 2025. I'm very type A, and I had my venue, dress, and florist all booked by early October 2024. The florist that we selected owned her own shop and had been in business for 30 years with very positive reviews on Yelp. Our wedding was at a restaurant with only 60 guests, so we basically needed around 30 bud vases and a few bouquets, nothing out of her wheelhouse. We live in a large and expensive city on the East Coast, and nearly all the florists I contacted had a $10,000 minimum spend, which was far more than we needed. I was thrilled to learn that this well-reviewed florist had no minimum, which isn't to say that her pricing was cheap, just not exorbitant. I will admit I was a bit taken aback when she didn't have a formal contract for us to sign, like all our other wedding vendors. She told me she'd be happy to sign a contract that I wrote up, so I did that, using online examples and referencing floral contracts from my friends. My mother insisted she was just not a business type. It was clear she loved what she did and had run a successful business for many years. In my contract, I included a clause about what would happen if she became sick or for some reason could not prepare the flowers for our wedding. The clause indicated that she would need to identify a replacement for us and help us transfer the services to that replacement. Fast forward to the last week of June 2025, the florist emails me to tell me that she will be closing her business on July 31st and will no longer be able to work my wedding, which is happening in mid-September. She lists about 3 to 4 florists in the area and says they'd all be good replacements and that she will refund my $300 deposit. She doesn't offer anything more to me. I was horrified. All of the florists in her list were ones I was quite familiar with. I'd contacted them all. Not only was I sure they would all be booked this close to my wedding, but all of them had very high minimum spends far outside what we needed. Luckily, there was one other florist we visited that didn't have a minimum spend. I called them within 10 minutes of reading the email, practically weeping, and they were able to service my wedding date. But to me, this was pure luck. I was happy to have secured a vendor, but kept thinking how shitty it was that my original florist had effed me over and thought giving me a list of popular florists was doing anything for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, it sucks. She's triggered, her florist canceled, tale as old as time. Except this one has a twist. Let's find out. The florist who closed her shop, whose Instagram account is of course public so I can see it, continues to post pictures here and there of events she's provided flowers for. A wedding shower, a baby shower, something for the community meeting. I get it. These aren't weddings, but my wedding was not a large affair. I truly believe she could have serviced it, and I know I shouldn't look at her Instagram, but gosh darn it, I just can't seem to help it. No one's perfect, I get it, but to me, this woman just lacks scruples and is a liar. The florist who did cover my wedding was amazing, and I loved my flowers, but I still find myself seething at this original florist. So how triggered can I be? Yours, Floral Fury.
Oh, okay.
She seems to really be letting this take over her life a little bit.
Yeah. I think the bigger issue is that she seems like she lied to her because she probably could have done it, said she was going out of business, but is still doing some work. So that's the part that's tweaking her.
I'm assuming, like, because wasn't fully clear. Is it like she's posting stuff that she's done in the past, or stuff that she's continuing to do? I guess was my question.
I'm pretty sure it sounds like she's posting. She wouldn't be upset if she was posting stuff she's done in the past.
Maybe it's unclear.
Maybe she's assuming that it's new stuff, and it is.
But she said she was closing her business. That's the part. So is she lying about going out of business?
Yes, that's the triggering part. I mean, I think all in all, I agree with her original sentiment. She canceled. You had a clause for her canceling that she had to find you someone else. She gave you other people. If in those other people, nobody was able to do it, you would have then the right to say, hey, you gave me all these people. No one's available. You're supposed to find a replacement. So like, go for it.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? Like, these people have a $10,000 minimum spend. That's not a reasonable replacement. And maybe she would have done the work for you and called around and found someone. You didn't give her the opportunity to do that because you did it and you found someone. I also don't think, I don't know, I could be wrong. I'm not in the wedding game, but like flowers for a 60-person wedding at a restaurant, like I don't think you need to have that person's whole day booked, right? Like, I don't think that's the type of thing where if they had another event that they couldn't, maybe prepare those flowers for you the night before or somehow manage. If you said it's just a couple of bud vases and a few bouquets, like that's not something that somebody could just do like without a huge amount of notice. Maybe I'm wrong on that because I'm not in this wedding game.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how difficult it would be to find someone to be able to do that or what the deal is. I think before getting all triggered, maybe I would have called her and asked her to like explain the situation.
Yeah. It sounds like she saw all an email.
Yeah. Right. She emailed her. She saw it. She panicked. She immediately booked someone else. Sounds like to me, like that sounds like the problem was solved in like, she said like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I can see being triggered that day, but I also think here's the thing. If she actually went out of business, because she says in the email that she was going out of business on July 31st, and then she's not out of business, that's triggering.
Yeah.
I think that's like a 5 or a 6. If she's just posting stuff that she's done in the past, not trying to gain new business, I think that's a lot less triggering. I think that's like a 2 or a 3. Like, she's going out of business. What is she? She like literally cannot, you know what I mean? Her 30-year-old business is closed and she didn't tell you the day before.
Right.
She didn't tell you the week before. She did give you a couple months. It sounds like you were able to turn it around. I don't know what else if she actually was going out of business, I don't know what else she could have done.
Yeah. And she didn't even give her the opportunity to say, hey, all these people have a $10,000 minimum. I need some more help. So yeah, I agree. It does sound like what's bothering her is that it does sound like this person is continuing to post pictures of their work. Maybe it's their personal life stuff. Like, she's allowed to do that if she like goes out of business for doing for-profit floral arrangements. But if she's like, hey, it's my best friend's bridal shower, I'll arrange the flowers for her. Or I live in this community and we're having a community meeting, like I will bring the flowers to that. If these are like her personal projects that she's doing for herself or her family and friends, I still don't know that that counts as like she lied about going out of business.
Right. Maybe she's temporarily closed because of some sort of family or personal emergency. And again, she doesn't have a contract, so that is a clue to you that she's not like running the most like smooth of operations here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I will validate. It's annoying to feel like maybe she was lied to. that she said she was going out of business and she's still doing, florals for events. That feels annoying.
I guess if I were to her and I wanted to make myself feel better, I would think of it like whatever her reasoning was, she did not think that she was able to do the flowers for my wedding to the best of her ability in the best way she knew how. And I think that it would be a lot more triggering to have someone phoning it in for something you're paying good money for something that means a lot to you, than for them to say a couple months out, I don't think I could do this.
Yep.
It stings in the moment, but you have time. She found a solution. Like, this would be so much worse if this woman didn't. I'm sure this was like kind of an annoying email for her to write. I'm sure she wouldn't have taken on the project in the first place if she didn't originally think she could do it. I imagine she wasn't doing it because she has no scruples and she's a liar and she's just trying to fuck with people by her big goal is to like book a lot of people and then just cancel and see, like, watch them squirm. Like, that seems diabolical. I really highly doubt that was her intention.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that she, whatever her reasoning are, and I love that way of calming her, which is like, she could have just gone through it and half-assed it, and that would have been a way worse outcome than letting you know 6 weeks ahead of time. And, it's funny. It's like, this is what I do think happens. And I get it, because the wedding guidelines say like you should have all these vendors booked like a year in advance. But I'm kind of like, if we didn't call this a wedding, if we called this like someone's 40th birthday party and you just wanted the same amount of flowers at the restaurant,
right?
Would you still need a year to get it just because it's called a wedding instead of a birthday? Like, would you still need to book your florist a year in advance? It doesn't sound like it was that big of a job, but because it's a wedding, it's made to be like this big, devastating, like horrible thing that you would only have 6 weeks to get the flowers done.
Right. It sounds like she's got big wedding planning energy on a small wedding.
Yes.
Actual like needs basis.
Yes. Yes. And look, all the power to you. You're type A. You got it all done ahead of time. This was a little bump in the road. Sounds like you did figure it out within 10 minutes. It's the lying part that is triggering. But I can see, like, let's say you have a photographer and they cancel for your wedding because it's a lot of pressure and they don't, maybe they're having like a nervous breakdown and they don't want to commit to that. And then they post pictures of like their sister's, baby shower in the living room. Like, I don't think it makes them a horrible person. It just means like it was a lower pressure event. They were able to handle it. That's their choice.
Yeah. And they're not going to, in the email, be like, but just so you know, in case you see something, I might be doing my sister-in-law's wedding or something.
Yeah.
So if I were her and I was like seething, I would give myself a day. I would still plan. I think she did the right thing. She got someone else really quick. Sounds like it was solved right away. But I would call her and say, hey, could you just explain what happened here?
Yeah. Yeah, if it's still bothering you, might help. And I do think this happens a lot too, just in general, where someone does something that pisses you off and you get this like overwhelming like action energy against it, where she just like very quickly started like calling all these like, fine, I'll do it myself kind of thing. And then was like resentful about doing it herself when she could have gotten on the phone and said, hey, this is super disappointing. I called all these places already. They all have $10,000 minimums. Do you have any other ideas? Because I'm feeling
Do you know anyone else that you could refer that has a smaller minimum? Or if you know these people personally, could you maybe call and ask them if they would do it at a smaller minimum, just given that like it's kind of last minute and I'm really anxious about whatever. Like, she didn't really do that. So I think if she did that and she was told to like fuck off, that would be a higher trigger.
Yeah.
But since she didn't, I would give it like a 3.5.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.
I'd give it a 5 that day.
Yeah.
I'd give it, now that you're already married, the wedding is over. I think it's time to let go.
Yeah. Well, I think when you are type A, people that don't do things in the right way are that much more triggering. Because you're like, I would never do that. That's the feeling.
Well, that's why this probably woman was not a good match for her, and her not having a contract in the first place was probably a good hint of like, I'm not working with someone who's really on top of doing things by the letter.
Totally. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself and the people that you're going to work best with. So, all right. I
did
think
it.
That's it. I think we did it. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for I love the questions every week. I'm like, another one, another great, super relatable little piece of minutia of life that we can all relate to. So thank you for that. All right. That's our time.
Great work today.